You ready? Okay. This is the last Zat Hashem until next year. If since it's recorded now, I don't need to always give the same Rashad. But we see that from what I said last year and this year, it's a bit different. Baruch Hashem.
Very different.
I was talking to one of my friends today. He said, "Yo, I don't know." I was like, "What happened?" He said, "He has a cash advance company." He's like, "I think we just made it." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I think we just made it from all the retardation of the generation." I was like, "You have to elaborate." He said, "I don't know. These youngsters these days, they're crazy. There's no drive, no motivation. What's going on?" And I was like, "This is just the generation." Why am I telling you this? Because unless a person's not going to motivate himself for anything, you're never going to succeed in anything. Never in your life. You'll be the same cab driver. You'll have all these dreams that you could have succeeded, but you never have success. Why? Because you never took action. We're in the generation of illusion. We like to dream. We like to see something on social media and we're dreaming that we're there. Habibi, what are you doing? You're ruining yourself. I was telling you before how vital and important. My Rebbe, my 9th grade Rebbe, he had this guy that he always used to invite for Shabbat to his house. And one day my Rebbe asked him, "What do you do?" He said, "I write a column in the newspaper. Some Jewish newspaper." "What do you write about?" "I write about Shalom Bayit. How a couple are supposed to live without, should be a nice family." So they were talking, and the rabbi said, "I never saw your wife. You're always in my house. Where's your wife?" He's like, "I was never married." And the rabbi started laughing, like, "You were never married and you were writing a column in Shalom Bayit? What?" Rabbi said, sometimes when we ask advice from people, it's just like that. We're asking people advice that have no clue on what you're going through. Bichlal, zero. And then you ask, how come your relationships are so messed up? Maybe you're asking the wrong people for advice. Maybe you're looking somewhere that you're not supposed to be looking. It can be that you went out with 50 girls and all 50 are not normal. Or you went out with 50 guys and all 50 are not normal. It's impossible. It doesn't work this way. This is just the hachara, an introduction, how sometimes people can be so clueless and they say things that they shouldn't be saying and they get the wrong advice, and whatever you hear, your brain is more advanced than a computer. Whatever you hear or see will stay in you forever. It's a forever download, and that always will bother you and give you a problem in your future. You'll always think about it. What if? That's why people that have dreams, they should pursue it. Why? Because you're always going to ask yourself, what if? And you're going to cause yourself a sense of depression. I could have been something else. So pursue it, and as you pursue it, you realize it doesn't cost to dream. It doesn't cost to dream. But you have to act on it, right? Before we're gonna, every year I give a shiur before Purim. This year we can't do it because I thought we can't do it because this is the last class of the dating. I said I have to incorporate Purim into this. I must. And this is where I'm gonna answer your question that you asked me, and we'll get into detail. The Midrash says, the Gemara says actually, that all holidays will be a reshut, will be like a remembrance when Mashiach is going to come, but Purim is going to be like a chiyuv, an obligation still. We're still going to have to do it. How Pesach and Sukkot will be, we don't really know. Maybe we'll just have to eat a mat and say, remembering Pesach. But Purim, we're going to be obligated for men and women to go hear the Megillah twice. I had a Talmud one time. He said, "Rabbi, I heard it twice." He said, "Yeah? When?" He said, "No, Beit Gabriel. They were doing it factory. I heard it twice in one day." It doesn't go that way. It's here once in the morning and once at the night. Or lehefech, once in the night and once in the morning. You have to make sure we are all obligated in this. Both men and women. This is where women's rights comes. Everyone screams for women's rights. Here, you're obligated for one thing that our men are obligated. Let's see you do it. Matanot le'evyonim, giving charity to poor people. It's a chiyuv, you have to give it. Find an almanah, go to your shul, find a rabbi that he can give it, and it's his responsibility to give it to a poor person. To give it to 2 poor people, lefachot, each poor person, They say $10, $15, but be generous, you know. Some people are really struggling. And mishloch manot. This is, someone one time asked me, what is the rarest mitzvah to do nowadays? And I told him mishloch manot. He said, what are you talking about? I said, if you think getting a whole big basket, right? I don't know. My wife is going crazy with this stuff right now. Big basket and decoration. Nowadays we don't give mishloach manot gifts of food. We give them now like vases and baskets. She's already preparing. Maybe they're going to use it for something. I said, this is not mishloach manot. This is bodegi. This is something else, different category. This is not called mishloach manot. Mishloach manot is someone that you give him food and you have to make sure he eats it. You should eat it. That's called you being yotzei yedei chova, your mitzvah. And it's also obligated for the woman. You have to give mishloach manot. Now, that doesn't mean if you're going out with someone, you give mishloach manot to him or to her. You're not yotzei like that. A man have to give it to men, and women have to give it to women. Rabbi say, be normal. Give gifts on other times. Remember, you got to give mishloach manot to a man, to a guy, to a friend. And you got to give it to a girl. Nothing wrong with that. How many mishloach manot? Whatever, 1, 2 is a small side point, but you should give 2. I personally, this year, I told my, I don't know what you're doing. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a small mana, small food, and I'll make the guys, since it's going to be hot in the morning, we do the Megillah. I'm going to cook eggs. I'm going to put nice bread. I'm going to put it and say, eat. Right? So I know I'm yotzei yedei chova. There's no point of doing this devonagi. Yeah, we also do that too because we have no choice. We're in the galut and everyone wants to show off. So we get this alcohol, this, and will he ever open it? No, he'll open it and it'll be over of having chametz on Pesach, and that's another issue which we're not going to talk about now. But person, be smart. Don't look to show off. It's not worth it. Get a person two things to eat, usually a piece of bread and something else. You should be yotzei yedei chova da mitzvah. The point of mitzvah is not to show off. This is where we got lost in this galut. This specific generation, everything is to show off. They don't care about it. The guy doesn't wear tefillin every day, but he has to get the most expensive tefillin. Why? The guy doesn't keep almost anything, Rahman al-Islam. And now, he should keep it, and maybe it's a good chizuk, but is he doing it because he loves the mitzvah, or is he doing it just to show off? Or the guy comes with the most expensive etrog to shul. He doesn't even know how to shake it. He doesn't know how to shake it, and he says, oh, Rabbi, look what I bought. For what? You have to be indulged in the mitzvah. You have to know what you're doing. And this is what the Baal Shem Tov revealed. He revealed something. He said, don't just do. Understand what you're doing, right? Like before you're getting married, right? We're all here to find out how to get married. Get married to anyone, it's like saying. Go to the street. If there are plenty of women out there, you can find them that are looking for a husband. Say, don't worry, I'll take care of you. Come. Why will you never do that in your life? Because you're putting your life into it. You're investing yourself into this relationship. Same thing to Torah Mitzvot, you have to invest. What does that have to do with Purim? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam she'akol niyah b'dvaro. Amen. Our whole avodah, our whole work, our personal work in our life is the story of Purim. Mordechai and Esther, their whole survival, if you learn the Megillah like in depth with the Mefarshim, you'll see how the whole time through their journey they were seeking God. They were looking for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even though God's name is not written one time in the Megillah, you'll never see it. It's not there. But they were seeking Him. When is God going to help me? Where am I going to find my salvation? The only way we'll have redemption in this last galut is when we seek it. If we don't seek it, we'll never have it. If we ourselves are not going to go out of our way to find the good in our own personal life, we'll never have good. Everyone will be not good for you. If I'm only looking at the negatives of a person and not the positives of the person. I was talking to someone called me yesterday, a guy called me yesterday, and he was telling me, I don't know, Rabbi, he gave me a whole list how he's in doubt and certain. I said, listen, before all these doubts and all this marash chora that you're throwing on me, can you tell me one positive thing about this person? You're going out with a person for already, I don't know, a couple days. One thing good, can you tell me that really, this one, wow, this might be the one. And they gave me a whole list. I said, now you have to evaluate. You cannot get a full package. Full package don't exist. It's only a mirror. When you look at the mirror, that's your only full package. It doesn't exist. And that's really what the Megillah is trying to teach us. And he asked me in the back, Chayev inish lebesume. The Gemara goes in depth. It says people have to get drunk, right? I'm going to elaborate really what that means. Women do not have to get drunk. Do not have to drink any alcohol. Lamaisa, I'll tell you something very scary. There was actually a small community that they decided that the men and women should start drinking. And Sisu v'simchu b'simchat Torah happened in that party, and some averot happened. Why? Because everyone decided to do it b'derech klipa, not b'derech tahara. So women do not have to drink. This is not something we even men don't have to drink. You don't. So why do we do it? Because we all know at the end of the day the story of Purim. Everything is orchestrated by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. At the end of the day, you see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the whole thing be able to happen. The whole thing. Unbelievable. So what is this that you have to drink into the level that you say blesses Haman and curses Mordechai? You have to reach a level of saying that really everything comes from who? From God. The more we curse our struggles in our life, the more we complain, the more we're pushing God further and further and further. We don't even realize this in our own personal lives. So what's the whole alcohol? The alcohol is to take out that emotion that you have at that moment, which you cannot express yourself. You can't express how everything is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You can't. You're not on that level. You're not in that mental state of mind to do that. So the Chachamim said, drink a little bit alcohol, and that feeling that you have inside of such a happiness of devotion to HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come out of you. That's why the rabbis say to drink. And I spent my younger years when I was in high school in houses of major Talmidei Chachamim, major. And I saw how they drank. They drank nonstop, but when they reached the point of, that's it. If I have one more, it's either I'm not gonna feel good or I'm gonna be too intoxicated. They stopped. They put the cup down and they didn't drink anymore. They didn't drink. So this whole demonagi that you think you have, we have to go and throw up now and be disgusting and do a chilul Hashem and not feel good the next day and Shushan Purim and you can't put on tefillin in the morning because you're so hungover, there's no mitzvah on that.
I understand that, but I guess this is a question towards the authors of the Gemara. Why would they say chayav inish lebesume? It should say yakol inish lebesume. You're able to do it.
No, because
potential. Why say you must do it? It's a very cut and dry Gemara. They don't give room for
correct. Because when you're talking about intoxication, when a person gets drunk, there is no. Are you a drinker? Do you drink often?
No, I do not.
Okay, so take it from someone that I don't drink always, but Shabbatot, Chagim, I'm a bit older than you, and I have these things occasionally, right? When a person drinks alcohol, there is no right or left. You're just going one way. At that point, you're in a bubble. You're in a bubble. That's why the Rambam says if anything happens on Purim, you're not chayav. We'll talk about that maybe a different time. That's not the point of the shiur. But when you drink alcohol, you have to reach that point of simcha. To reach the point of drinking is to reach the point of simcha. And the only simcha you'll ever get in your life is to understand everything comes from who? From Hashem. If when you start to justify on your own all your cheshbonot, why your life is A, B, C, and D, and you'll bring all your life, and you say, why I have such trauma with this, and why is my life messed up with this, what are you actually doing? You're taking out simcha out of the picture. Simcha is one of the hardest midot, one of the hardest characteristic traits to always be living by. And the only way a person can live by simcha, now simcha doesn't mean I'm happy, that's not simcha. That has nothing to do with simcha. An emotion is a feeling. How you express that feeling can be broken down into many different ways. Many different ways. That's why people that reach a very high spiritual level, you'll speak to them and tell them your feelings, and a lot of them won't even feel a sense of, I've seen it, they don't have any emotions to your question. They understand your pain, they know what you're going through, but they reach such a level of, this is what Hashem wants from you. You're coming to me to fix what? To put a band-aid on your problem? You have to go head first with the issue, with the situation that you have. And that's what Purim really is. Because the only way you'll reach that simcha is when you realize that you can express yourself in that way. And unfortunately we can't, because we're not there yet. And that's why we drink the alcohol. But a person should not get intoxicated to the point that he starts doing stupidity. I redecorated a lot of bathrooms in many yeshivot. I'm telling you, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. I can give you numbers of friends, they'll tell you it just comes out to be a chil Hashem at the end of the day. Doing things that are not normal. And that's not the point of Purim. The point of Purim is to have a Seudah, not at the night, in the morning. To have a Seudah in the morning. Okay. How do we put this into Shidduchim? Someone asked me a beautiful question. Unfortunately, Rahman al-Itzlan, but this happens, and everything that Hashem does, He does for a reason. There are people that unfortunately get married and due to different circumstances, they separate. They get divorced. What is the approach of dating someone that's divorced? It's not so far-fetched. Don't think because you're young, that opportunity will not come your way. And don't look down on it, and don't look positive on it. It's something that could happen. It's something we don't want to happen, but it could happen. Correct? How do you approach such a thing? You have to understand something. As we spoke in the earlier shiurim, that a person, before he starts going out, he has to understand that everyone has a package. Every single human being on this planet has a package. When you go out, you have to come to a conclusion that the package I have is not, in a way, and I'll explain to you what I mean, is not going to affect, maybe we should, you can bring the chairs over here. It's not going to affect how I'm going to relate to this situation. Your trauma that you had, even if you weren't divorced, right? Even if you were not. Everyone has some sort of trauma that they went through in their life. You have to be ready that traumatic state that you went through, you worked on it, you got help for it, and now you can move on to have a healthy relationship. When you start going out, right, and you bring a package to the relationship and then you dump it on someone else's head, that's not fair. It's really not fair. It's not fair for the guy, and it's not fair for the girl. It's partially not fair. Because he's trying to get to know you, and now he has to, instead of getting to know you, get to know him, you're becoming his therapist. And that's not right. You shouldn't be someone's therapist, especially in the beginning of your dating life. Yes, there are certain things when you get married, you express yourselves in a certain way, and you guys have to help each other fix and grow. But that shouldn't happen initially. If that person tells you, and you know this because you have to do certain researches, right? That person went through help. That's why I suggest, after certain incidences, I do suggest people that before they go out, they should really speak to a madrich or madricha, a rabbi or someone, or in your case, someone that's very close to you, to give you that sense of confidence that you're not doing it just to run away from something. A lot of people, especially youngs, they get married because they want to run away. They want to run away with certain responsibilities that they have in the house. A voice like that responsibilities is going to be the same thing, but even worse. Now you have to take care of a guy that acts like a baby. Or you have to take care of a woman that whines all day. You have to come to that conclusion. It's going to happen. Nothing to be scared about. This is the reality of life. You need to go through that struggle process in order for you to get molded properly together. But it doesn't mean I have to now come with a whole luggage and say, oh, fix all my past problems with all the other 1,000 relationships that I have, Rahman, it's not God forbid 1,000, but with all the problems and all the trauma that I had with my parents and all of this problem and my friends, and I got abused and I got this and I got that. And the guy saying, yeah, Habibi, what's going on here? We're supposed to be falling in love, and now I feel like I'm a therapist. That's the problem. And a person usually, when he's going out, he can detect it. And what's the problem? This is where another question that someone asked me, and I'm going to address it because it falls right into it. Sometimes people feel responsible or a need then to stay in that relationship. And that's the biggest issue. The biggest issue is when you start to justify that I'm such a righteous person. Look how much I'm helping them. Wow. I'm going to open up a social media and talk to the world how much I'm helping everyone. Are you crazy? You're not helping anyone. You're just destroying. First of all, you're not fit to help. You don't know what you're doing. Second of all, you're putting yourself in a pit that's going to be almost impossible. It's going to be very hard to get out of it. Do not stay in a relationship with anybody, if you don't feel confident about that person. The guy can be, Habibi, he walks on the street, it's like the sun is walking. So much shine coming out of him. It could be the girl, forget about it, ya Habibi. She cracks everyone's neck when she walks. Everybody's. Doesn't make a difference. This stuff, all this that you mitlahev about will pass. It will pass, Shlomo Melech says. It will pass. The beauty will go away. It will start fading. The guy's nice charm will start fading. It all will fade. And then what are you going to be left with? Only the luggage, the package. And then you're stuck. So when I'm telling you this not out of my own experience, but from people that I've helped, and I've seen my father help and my brother, my Rebbein. Do not think for a second that it's going to be easy. Now, someone asked another question, which I'm going to also address. Now that I am married to such a person, I'm married. What do I do? I know this is not a marriage class, but you should know something. Yalkut Man Loez says, the Midrash says this, I think also the Gemara, I have to just find the source, that when a couple gets divorced, it's like the Mizbeach in the Beit HaMikdash is crying. It's crying. The Mizbeach. We have to understand something. Complications in relationships will always be there. Always. You cannot run away from it. You cannot. It's impossible. What's the difference? When a person lives on a spiritual lifestyle, he starts to understand that when the person is getting tochacha, he's getting rebuked by his spouse, or there's an argument, that specific tochacha, that specific rebuke that he's getting is for him to become a better person. This is where the ego plays in every relationship. Who do you think you are? Woo! Look at you! Should I tell you all how much bad you have before pointing out on all the stuff that I have? And usho karochi. There's a crowd over there, take a popcorn, just watch them fight it out. That's not the point of a marriage. The point of a marriage is not to show who has the most issues. The point is, okay, I heard, I have to work on myself. And yeah, I'm working on myself to make myself a better person for her or for him. And while doing that, you're making yourself a better person. When you do that, when you work on yourself in those levels, you become like, you are the Superman of the world. Because when a person can take the rebuke, can take it, like when you're in school, right? There are a couple teachers, right? There's the teacher that everyone hates. There's the teacher that everyone loves. And there's the teacher that you hate and love. You're not sure. You're not sure. Your marriage is going to be that teacher that you're not sure about, if you hate them or you love them. Because in one way, you need them because you're married. In another way, they're always bothering you. So what do? Do I love them or do I hate them? And the answer is whatever you decide. If you decide to hate them, you will hate them forever. If you decide to love that person, forever you will love that person. It depends, am I willing to work on myself or I'm not willing to work on myself? So you have to come with that understanding as well, that don't think you get married, so normal, everything's good, it's all nice, everything's... No, ya habibi. No, it's not like that. Wake up. We're not in Hollywood. Wake up. Wake up. Bavaksha, I'm begging you. I don't need phone calls after people get married like I had yesterday. Also, oh, my kids got married, they're married for a year, they want to get divorced. First of all, why are you calling me? I don't like this stuff. This stuff bothers me. It hurts me inside. Whatever the case is. But why do people get to that realization? Maybe because they're sick of everything. They don't want to work on them. Midot. And that's what happened with Esther Malka. Esther Malka goes to Mordechai and says, I'm not going to Achashverosh. I'm not going to him. And Mordechai says, you have to go, invite him to the Suda Mishteh, the meal that I prepared with you, Haman, and the Achashverosh. You have to go. He said, I'm not going. You not understand, Mordechai? If I'm going to go there, I'm going to die. What was she saying? She said, I'm going to be not allowed to you, Mordechai. I'm married to you. Anytime he ever wanted me, he used to call me. I never out of my own will went to him. You're telling me to do something, I'm going to be asur for you. I cannot live with you then. And Mordechai said, don't think about this right now. You right now have to save the Jewish people. Go to Achashverosh. Go. Sometimes we put our emotions of sensitivity of our past will not allow us to do the right judgment for the person that we're going out with. She's too skinny, she's too tall, she's too like this, the nose is like that, the face is like that, the body's like this, look at her boots, she came like this. Who cares, ya habibi? You're talking, you're judging on things that are really irrelevant. They're irrelevant. This stuff is all gonna disappear once you get married. All of it. You have to look, the midot are there. The characteristic traits, where's the derech eretz there? You have to look, if the guy treats you nice, he treats you well, he respects you as a human being, he doesn't bash you 24/7. These are the things you have to look. There are plenty of normal men and women out there. Plenty. Do not say there are no normal women. Do not say it. Do not say there are no normal men. Don't say it. It's not true. There are plenty. It's funny. All the ones that say they're not normal like this, they're all struggling. They're looking in the wrong areas. That's the problem. All of you guys are looking by the Ashkenazim and they're looking by this. Instead of looking in your own, there are plenty of normal people out there. Plenty. Why can't you find them? You're looking in the wrong place, maybe. I had another question I want to address. Can a man or a woman be pushy to get engaged or to get married? But I say this happens to almost everybody. Almost in every relationship, there's always that one person that's pushy. And that's a very, very big issue. A person should not be pushy to get married or to get engaged. Why? Because when a person gets into a marriage in that state of mind, that they're not, whatever the reason might be, it's really irrelevant. If they feel that they're not mentally ready, I'm not saying physically, you're never physically ready. If you're not mentally ready, you cannot push them, you cannot force it. There's not a quota. Rabbi said, getting married is not a quota. There's not an age, and there's not how long you have to date, none of that. Yes, we say we prefer a certain amount of things, certain amount of dates, certain amount of how much times you should speak to each other. We all say that because we're scared that the guy's going to blow up or the girl, and they're going to do shtiyot eventually. That's why we're scared. That's why the rabbi said there's a certain level, how much and how what. Until before you start touching by mistake, and before you know it, it's the end of the story. It's the end of the story. We want to prevent that. But if a person is not mentally or physically, mostly mentally stable, do not force it. Do not force it. You need advice how to make the other person mentally stable? Speak to someone. If you knew how powerful your tongue is, if you just fathomed it for a second, you can do anything you want. Just you guys don't know how to speak. That's the problem. You do not know how to speak. It's unbelievable. And the power that a woman has, oh my, Hashem Yishmor Yerachem. The power a woman has is unbelievable. Men will do anything. They will do anything if they really like that person. Anything in the world. Do not devalue or do not underestimate your own kochot. Do not. That's the problem. You underestimate yourself and you end up being like a frying pan. Not here and not there. You're not sure what to do. And that's why you need a madrich. You need someone to guide you. It's not bad to ask for advice. Asking for advice is a good thing. It's something that's needed and it's necessary. You must do it. If you're stuck, you have to ask for advice. Doesn't make you a weaker person. Doesn't make you someone that can't handle your own situation. Lahefech, it shows how strong you are. I remember when I was finishing my hasmachtot for shchita, the rabbi said, listen, no two animals are alike. If you ever have a question, ask. Call another posek and ask him. You have to understand that. Every situation is different. The advice that your Rebbe told your friend works for your friend. That does not necessarily work for you. You have to understand that. That's why when people share their relationships, is the biggest chirum in the world. First of all, it's none of your business. It's none of your business. How they're going out, how they're feeling, how they interact. It's none of your friends' business either. It's none of their business. Why should you tell them? I do believe in Ayin Hara. I'm a very big believer in that. I believe it. First of all, you're causing yourself Ayin Hara. Second of all, you're gonna get advice based on her own feelings towards you, not on how she actually feels towards you or how the guy feels towards you. And that messes up everything. Because you had a lack of communication between you and your madrich or madricha, or between the couple itself. You're making assumptions. People do that all the time. They make assumptions in a shidduch and they break it off. And when they call the shatchan, they say, oh, I broke it off because she's like, no. Why didn't you ask? I would have explained to you what happened. I would have clarified the whole situation for you, and now you feel like an idiot. And your ego doesn't allow you to call back and say sorry because you're a man. So you just lost on a good girl. Why? Because you have ego. Okay, that's already on you. That's already on you. Remember that getting married to the right spouse, you'll have the best life. Marriage is the best thing on planet Earth if you get married to the right person. But if you get married to the wrong person, you'll have the worst life. Now, what does that actually mean? If you don't work on yourself. Boy, so you have to work on yourself. If you read Kohelet, the last verse of Shlomo Melech, you should read it. When I first time read it, I didn't read it by purpose. I went to an Ashkenaz shul, and they read these kind of weird things sometimes. So they open up a whole Megillah of Kohelet, and I'm over there, and I said, let me see really what's going on. Shlomo Melech, I want you to imagine this guy's life. King. He was the most respected and loved king in the whole Jewish history. He had thousands of horses. We're talking about thousands of cars, Bunagid. Like, everyone gets excited from these nice fancy cars. He had thousands of horses. Thousands. And he's not allowed to, but he got it anyways. He had 1,000 wives, Rabbi Isai. You can't get one. The guy had 1,000. I don't know how he did it. Ashrav, man. I don't know. But he did it. He had all the money you can imagine. He had slaves. He had maidservants. He had everything in his life. He had kids. He had a great legacy. He had no wars in his lifetime. He was really living a life. You know what he writes at the end of his book? One of the last books that we have of his? סוף דבר הכל נשמע את האלוהים יראה וניסה תשמור. Everything that I have in my life, at the end of the day, all I want is to be connected to you, Hashem. I had everything. Everything! And at the end, it didn't satisfy me as much as how much I really want to get to know you. We're running for ta'avot that do not give you a everlasting satisfaction. They give you a satisfaction, don't get me wrong, but they don't give you that everlasting satisfaction. To reach that everlasting satisfaction, you need to get married. And when you get married, that's when clash. What's that clash? That clash is for you to become that better person. When you become that better person, that's the only way you can serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu properly. And then your life is not just gold. It's beyond gold. It's the best thing in the world. Even though you have struggles, and God forbid you'll be poor, and God forbid you don't have parnasai, and God forbid you don't have kids, you'll still have the best life. Why? Because your relationship with your wife is excellent, which makes such an effect that your relationship with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is beyond excellent. And that's what we're missing about getting married. To have physical intimacy, you can have that with anybody. It's very easy in the 21st century. Very easy. That's not the point why we get married. We get married for one reason and one reason only, to become closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we need a wife to do it, and they need a husband to do it. What's the proof to this? In a normal relationship, who wants to have kids? The woman. The men, yeah, they want a boy because they want to have ego, but they don't really want kids. They don't want kids. It's another headache for them, and they don't want. The woman wants kids, right? She always say, I want more kids, more than the man. Why HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them that urge and need that they should want the kids and not the men? They had no mitzvah having kids. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew as follows. He said, men, they're obligated to get married. They're obligated. They need to get married. They need to have kids. They need to start a family. Women are not obligated. Imagine I give the emotions of the obligation to the men. What's going to be with the woman? What's going to be? Nothing. They're not going to want to procreate. They're going to whatever, I'm chilling. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to put this teva in the women that they should want to get married. For what? That's how you see it. Only God can create this world. It's unbelievable. He made such a puzzle. He made it that they shouldn't even they just shouldn't have the obligation because they have such a desire for it. So when you ask yourself, am I doing this shidduch for the right reason, or am I doing it just because I want another thing on the scoreboard? I got the hottest girl on town, that's my wife. Then you're getting married for the wrong reasons, my friend. Because you're going to live that year that you have to get to know each other, and you're going to go through struggles. You'll live that same year for the rest of your life with her. Because you're not willing to work on each other. And you'll see that relationship, of that love-hate relationship, for the rest of your life. And then you'll imagine, wow, my parents had such a relationship. This is what marriage is, right? Marriage is a love-hate, fight and scream, and then love again, and fight and scream, and then love again. That's not marriage. That's abuse. I'm telling you it's abuse. Because when you experience a perfect marriage, ya habibi, when you look back at those people that have that relationship, you're like, disgusting. Disgusting. It's a pure contradiction. 1 second ago they wanted to kill each other. 5 minutes later they're like nothing ever happened. That's normal for the first couple of years, but not when you're 40, 50, 60. When you're married for 25 years, why you still have that relationship with your spouse? You want to know why? Because you never worked on your midot. You never took the tochacha that they gave to you and said, I'm going to work on it. Instead, you had that ego. You had that ego. So in order, before you get married, you have to understand, I'm willing to take all the heat. I'm willing to take the heat. If you're not going to take the heat, you're not going to get baked. You're going to be a raw piece of bread. You don't want that. Oh, Rabbi, I want a submissive wife. What does that mean? You want her to go like that and she's already, oh yes, I came for you, what do you need? What is for you? Even Hollywood doesn't have that. Where's the cheshbon? Where's the cheshbon? You know how you're going to get such a person? I'll tell you how you're going to get such a person. When you When you make your whole life revolved around that person and she knows that and she feels that, I promise to you, she'll be more submissive than you can imagine. But if she knows she's getting mentally and physically abused by you, she will never, ever in her life be submissive to you. Ever. Ever. Because when you revolve, you're not being whipped. That's not called being whipped. I never said that. People think, oh, if you give too much to the woman, you're whipped. No, ya habibi, it's your obligation to take care of her, to feed her, to clothe her, and to make sure she has all of her needs. But at the same time, you have to understand, if you don't revolve your life, you have to understand, you're getting married, you have to revolve your life around this human being. People don't understand this. They get married. After 3 months, they're instead of being home at night with their wife, they're chilling with their friends. They act like old men. They're in the banya, they're in the shashlik house. Yo, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you, 80 years old? What's to you to the banya at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night? I want to hang out with the boys. No! You have a young wife. Go home. Go home. Hang out with her. What are you doing? People they cannot register this. I don't know why. This generation, mamash. I'm getting lost over here. You guys are crazy. It's unbelievable. It's also by the woman. I'm sorry. I know married women that go chill in bars with other guys and girls there. You're married, matosa. It's safek if you can even return back to your husband. What are you doing? And you guys are laughing, but I see this every day. You have phone calls. Rabbi, my wife was chilling until 2 o'clock over here. With who? With what? You can never know. You guys are laughing. I'll tell you a true story. Want to hear a true story? I heard this story. I was crying because it hurt me so bad. There was this firm lady. And she worked in a very big corporate. She had a very big corporate position, which is very good. Kol hakavod la. And she had to go to this corporate New Year party. So she went. One champagne glass, two champagne. She wasn't Bukhari, she didn't take it hardcore. So champagne made them drunk here, champagne over there, champagne over here. I remember the only time I got married, my wife comes to the house and my father, not right away, of course, a couple months, my father said, okay, let's make a lachaim. He pours the lachaim and he asked my wife, do you drink? Like, I don't know, in our house, the women don't drink. At least my mother doesn't drink. And she's like, yeah, I'll take a shot. I was like, whoa. He looks at me, he's like, you got a good wife, man. And I was like, be careful, this is different breed. And it's just a different signal, right? So you get, my wife's going to kill me, she's watching this after. So she goes to the party. She drinks 1, 2, 3. She wakes up the next day and she looks right beside her and she sees one of her co-workers. The Habibi. If you're laughing, she was a lady with 5 kids. Her husband's a major Talmid Chacham and she doesn't know. She went to Beit Din. She said, I was drunk. I don't even know. I don't know what happened. I have all my clothes on. Everything is the same. The Beit Din said, you're safek. You can't go back to your husband. Wow. You can't go. You have to get a get. Do you understand? Boy, see, sometimes we do things and we don't think. We think, oh, we'll hurt the spouse or we'll make him jealous. This is ditki sad for you. This is lewd. I don't understand women or men like this. You're gonna hurt your spouse or you're gonna do something to piss them off. You dumb. You in first grade. Be the bigger human being. This is what happens when you don't have a Rav that's involved in the situation. You need it. People don't understand. You need someone involved. To guide, to do it properly. It's your first time getting married. Even if it's your second time. That means the first one didn't work out either. You need someone to help you, to guide you, to show you the right way, to give you the right advice. If you're scared that you're going to ask advice from a rabbi that lives in a cave, okay, I understand. But there are many down-to-earth people that are very religiously orthodox, but very mentally open-minded that can properly guide you to the right derech. And we don't do it. Why? Because we have an ego problem. Both in the man and in the woman's way. We both have an ego issue. And you have to drop the ego. You have to drop it. Does anyone have any questions and so on? Besides you? Anyone? No one? Wow. Means I'm not doing a good job. Go, ask now. Okay. I had another question that I got. This is the last question that I got. So after this, if you have nothing else to ask, then I guess we're done. You have to ask it. You have to ask it. Person that's going out. And unfortunately, Rahman al-Islam, there are certain things that, for example, let's say someone had a past. I really don't want to get into this topic. I don't even know why I'm recording, but I'm going to record it because my wife told me record everything this time. Last shiur we closed it. She said everything. Okay. Person has a past. Where do you draw the line? Whoa. I always repeat with that question. 1 second. 1 second. Eliezer, take it easy. Do I need to define it? Oh, Hashem Yerachem. Now, I want to explain something to you. The greatest gift that Kadosh Baruch Hu gave to mankind was something called Zman. Time. The reason why he created time was for one reason and one reason only. For the concept of Teshuvah. If there wouldn't be a sense of time, there would be no concept of Teshuvah. Because Teshuvah actually means Tashuv, to return back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If I don't have a sense of time, that means what am I returning to? There's nothing to return. Because there is no time. So we have to understand that fact. Now, for everyone, a past means something else. I don't want to be too graphic, but let's hope you understand first base, second base, third base, and home run. Do you understand that? No. Okay, he doesn't understand. Kol hakavod. Just making my job worse, but I'm just letting you know. But it's okay. We have to talk about it because a lot of people have these questions, but no one asks it because everyone's too embarrassed until they're so into the relationship and they fall in love and they get married and they don't realize that this thing is killing them inside. People don't understand this. So we have to address it. First of all, we have to understand that a Kohen is separate than everybody else. Not a Levi, but a Kohen. A Kohen has to marry a Betula. Yes, I'm trying to speak in those words in Hebrew so it should be more tzanua. But yes. A Kohen has to marry a Betula. That's what the halacha says. I didn't create it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said so. That's number one. Number two. A person has to know, this is a self-conscious feeling that you have to yourself. There is no any direct right yes or no answer to this. This is something that you have to make a decision on your own. What level of zima, I'm going to call it, of not proper action, if it's touching, if it's kissing, if it's
We get it.
physical intimacy to its own different levels, are you willing to be ma'avir or you're not willing to be ma'avir? Ma'avir means to let it go and to forgive, not even to forgive. I shouldn't say forgive because I'll tell you why. That person's history has nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. If the person was a boged, they did it purposely when you're dating to get on your nerves, then you just realize what kind of human being that person is. That's something else. But if this is before the going out, and the person you see has a self-change, and so on and so forth, some people don't mind at all. There are like that. There are people like that. I'm telling you, I've met people like that, people like that. Everyone has to have his own madriga of level. But let me tell you something. You got to be realistic. You have to be realistic. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean. Do not do a judgment only on the basis of what other people will tell you. You have to do the judgment of how you're gonna feel when you go home. It goes both ways, Rabbi Sai. For guys and girls, doesn't make a difference. And if you do know or you do find out and you do get married, don't even dare bring up that topic. Don't even dare. Because when you got married, I know what you're going to ask me, and we'll talk about that after. I read your mind. Because when you got married, you knew about it. You knew about it. To use someone's past as a mechanism of trauma or make a fight out of it, that's so petty and so stupid, it's beyond logical. It's petty. It's mamash jet kisad, you didn't grow up yet. Understood? Now, if someone says, Ya Habibi, 0. No, I want mamash, she comes out of her mother's stomach and they give it to me like this right away. Like that. She's still dirty with the thing, with the placenta. I want it like that. Okay, that's on you. Good for you. But I want you to understand something. You have to be a person that lives up to that standard as well. Do not think for a second. I guess I'm not busting your bubble. I'm not saying you're not gonna get halavai shikulam yikablu whatever they're looking for. But people, as it says in Torah, as the Ben Ish Chai says, majority of our life we're fixing up the avirot we did in our youth. The majority of the life that we live, we're fixing the mistakes we did in our youth. Whatever it may be, it's irrelevant. A person has to understand he has to be comfortable with the situation. Why? Because if if you have to convince yourself and you get married, you're gonna most probably have a very miserable life because of this. Most probably.
What do you mean convince yourself?
Don't worry, it's gonna be okay. Don't worry. No. When you have to say "don't worry" 1,000 times to convince yourself, and you're not actually okay with it, you have to be okay with it. You're getting married to this person. You know certain things. You have to be okay with it. This is what it is. That person has a past, and I'm 100% agreeing to the situation. That's why a lot of people, at least a lot of madrichim that I dealt with, this concept of speaking about intimacy, even when you're married, is a very petty thing. You have to understand, living physically with a human being is the most holiest thing that you can imagine. That it's the most holiest thing in the world. When you start to take all the schmutz and garbage that you've seen or you heard from the outside and bring it in to your holies of holies, that's when all the problems start in people's lives. We're not gymnastics over here. We're not in a movie over here. You're living with a normal human being. Treat that human being properly. People are living in a fantasy land. Do not have that machshava. That person is your queen. You better treat her like a queen. He's your king, and you better treat him that way. When you come with all the schmutz into your relationship, that's when all the balagan happens. And what kind of balagan? Start to open up about your past and certain experiences, and that's detrimental. People don't understand. They dig their own grave. That's what happens. If you do tshuva on this concept, it's done. It's X'd out of your life forever. You don't speak about it, you don't talk about it, you don't associate with it, it's done. But if every time you're gonna remind yourself of it and start to compare, this is why I say, when a man says, this is my opinion, especially for a man that says, oh, what does it make a difference? I'm a man, no problem. Nope. Yes, it is a problem. You want to know why? It might not be a physical problem for you, but it'll be an emotional problem forever. Forever. The comparing and the imaginations that's going to go to your brain will forever haunt you. Unless you do total teshuvah and you never bring up that topic to anyone. Not to your friends, not to your classmates, not to your wife, not to your kids. It never happened. Zero. That's called building on your self-esteem, and everything else doesn't matter. And it's a big problem by women. A lot of times women like to express themselves to their friends after marriage, and they say stupid things that they shouldn't be saying. Like, what is it to your friends? What is it to your family? No shaykhis, bichlal. What are you doing? This is a holy thing. We don't talk about these kind of things. And that's why the halakha goes into many details, how, what, where, and all these circumstances. Why? Because it's extremely, extremely holy. You're doing Maaseh Bereshit. You're doing what God did. You're creating life. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. He gave you that power. And instead of keeping it in a sanctum, and you can tell a family that's kadosh between a family that's filthy. Look at their kids in a couple of years. Look at those kids. I guarantee it to you. Look how those kids are getting raised. Are they getting raised with morals, with derech eretz, with discipline? Or, hefker, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, we're religious, yeah. Kiddush, the wife's over there talking, the son's over there talking. This is not religious. This has nothing to do with Torah mitzvot. This is called, I'm showing myself outside. You have to understand, we don't even touch about getting married. What really marriage is and what things you should be looking for. I remember when I just got married, I made a chok in my house. I told this to my wife, and unfortunately one time I even fought with one of my parents. Not fought, but I explained to them, this is certain things in my house that I want. During Kiddush, no one's in the kitchen. No one. You forgot to make a salad, you'll do it after Kiddush. I don't care. I don't care. Kiddush, everyone's on the table. Hamotzi lechem, everyone's on the table. Rabbi, it's such a petty thing. No, it tell you why. It teaches you morals in the house. People don't understand this. The woman's not a dog. Your sisters are not horses. They don't need to be in the kitchen 24/7 and you eat like Seudat of Mordechai, but in this case you're Achashverosh eating and everyone's serving you. It doesn't go this way. Derech eretz, morals. They're also human. They also want to feel appreciated. And if we don't train ourselves now to think this way, you think you're going to think this way when you get married? Hey, you're funny. You're not. You're not going to change when you get married. You change before you get married. Don't forget that. I'm going to keep Torah mitzvot after I get married. No, you're not. You're not. You're lying to yourself. And if you are, you'll do it on a condition. You'll do it because he wants me or because she wants me. That's the biggest downfall. You're not doing it because you really want to connect. You want to have a good life. You want to have good kids with normal manners. This is the kids nowadays. This is crazy. Call them kids like little behemoths walking around. Come on. It's sad. I feel scared. Growing up my kids in this generation, I'm so scared. It's like no morals. They'll see their grandparents say, bye, and they walk away. Yo, this is your grandparents. Kavod. And you might look at it like, that's such a joke. Who cares? No, you're going to have kids one day. You're going to have kids. And your kid, when he comes home from school, how do you want him to? You want him to greet you? Hi, mommy. How are you? How was your day? Or, oh, where's the food at? Oh, where's the food? I'm hungry. You made something? Baby, what? Stop. Smack that kid once across his face. Manners. Derech eretz. Discipline. You know when that all starts? Right now, right before you get married. It starts right now. It starts when you build your relationship with your wife. You come down to these realizations of how you want to structure your life for your kids and family. You need to do it. These are priorities. You don't see it as a priority because right now you're infatuated with all the physicality of the marriage. You're forgetting that that's not really so important. What's more important is the emotional part of your marriage, because that's what's going to continue your life. Physicality can always be tweaked. Always be tweaked. Inside, emotionally, mentally, cannot, unless you really work and are ready to work on yourself. And that's what a marriage really is. So you're going to ask me a question that I don't want to address, but I'm going to address it. Let's say you find out after you get married. I didn't want to address it, but I already knew what he was going to ask me. I know people. No, I know Eliezer. I think I know. People are laughing. Hey, if you just really knew him. I also know all that too. Right? After you get married, you find out stuff that, big issue. It's such a big issue, I have no answer to it. There's such a big issue on that halachically even. There's a tshuva from Rav Ovadia. I think it's from Rav Ovadia. Don't quote me. Are they still considered married or not?
What?
I'm not gonna get into it. There's a very big halachic issue. It's called a mekach ta'ut. You can look it up. Called mekach ta'ut. It's as they say a something that wasn't discussed on the contract. When you buy a building. It goes both ways, first of all. I want you to know that too. It goes both ways. Don't feel suddenly some holy guys over here, right? It goes both ways.
Rabbi, you previously said like a long time ago that what happens in your past should stay in the past. You shouldn't bring it forward. So why?
Correct. I'm not talking about you bringing it up. Let's say the person gets married, everything dandy, nice, good, and suddenly he finds out, ya habibi, that person, both man or woman, doesn't make a difference. Used to, wow, ya, he has the black book, as they call it, or she has the black book, and it wasn't with one or two. It was oh, half of my. It's hurtful for both. For a woman too, it's also very hurtful. You guys don't understand.
But I want to know. You're saying that it's in that way. Meaning black book wise, you should say, as opposed to other things, or it's everything?
It depends how the person, halachically it's talking about mamash maaseh, about actual physical intimacy, halachically. Everything else, first, second, third base is shtiyot. But halachically it's talking about that, which is very, very big deal. To the halach, it goes and says it could be a breach of contract, as they say, and that's why the wedding might not really be valid. Now, halacha, you have to ask a dayan and a posek. I'm not a dayan and a posek for these aspects. At all not. But I'm telling you that Bonagit, such a thing did happen. God forbid, not on anyone. You have to, first of all, as soon as you find out, you have to run to who? To your Rebbe. You must. Or to your madricha. You must. Why? I'll tell you why. Because sometimes people think if they're going to confront the person, they're gonna feel more superior. Why didn't you tell me? No. That's not necessarily the smartest thing to do. It's not. You run to someone that you can talk to and is going to give you proper advice. And you should know something. 99.9% of the people that end up in that situation, and I know people that ended up in that situation, no. When they got the right mental help in the beginning, they said, we're very happy we stayed married. Because it never came out of her mouth, and it never came out of my mouth, and for all we know, it could all been just full of lies. Even though if you have proof, everything is over here. One second, let me finish. You understand? Don't just judge people on the actions that they did. Rather judge them for the actions that they're doing right now as well. A person that can throw all that, right, and start a life, and commit, and be loyal, which is the most important thing. That's something you have to understand, that doesn't come out, that's not so easy to find. I know it could be hurtful. I know it can also be sometimes detrimental to a person, but you have to live in the reality of the world. You have to ask yourself, before I married her, did I really feel that I can have a nice, beautiful family with that girl or not? And you're going to say yes, because you married her. And now you have to make the right judgment. For that, you need to go to a madrich or madricha. And so I had a case like that actually once. I'm not going to say what the outcome was. But, Baruch Hashem, he worked on himself, she worked on herself, and everything worked out for the best at the end of the day. Does a person need to be open about it in the dates? Calm down, it's not so simple. It's not so simple. First of all, what are you going to say on a date?
Just be open.
Be open? Yeah. How many guys you work with? Or that's open? I'm just asking.
I mean, you just tell them later on, and after you keep dating them.
What do you tell them? Oh, I have a past?
Yeah.
You gotta do your research on that.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that question should ever be brought up. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Shh, I'll tell you why. No. Two things. If it comes out during the dating process, that means she or he is not ashamed, and that could be a red flag. And if it doesn't come out, that means that person totally wiped it out of their life and they don't want to bring it up. Do you hear what I just told you? If a person, at the end it comes out. It comes out. When does it come out? When the person wants the other person to know. It will come out. When the person will say it himself. My Rebbe has a story. He told me it happened to one of his nephews, I think, or one of his family members. The guy got married to the girl. He married the girl. He's a Kohen. And through her Asgavor, how she was talking to him, he realized that she's not a Betula. He called right away. He got to the hotel room. He went to the restroom. He called, I think, his Rebbe or his father. He told him the situation. The Rebbe said, do not be with her. You're a Kohen, first of all. It has nothing to do with emotions. It has to do with you being a Kohen. They brought it. They had the Sheva Brachot. Everything went okay. He didn't. The second after the Sheva Brachot, because he didn't want to embarrass her, he gave her a get, and they departed. They departed very quietly, very 1, 2, 3. Have a good day.
Wow.
You understand? So there are ways at the end it comes out somehow. It comes out. But you know when it comes out? When the person didn't press the delete button in their brain. When you press that delete button, for example, think of a memory that happened to you, I don't know, when you were in 6th or 7th grade. Think of it, that you never told anyone. Why didn't you tell them? It's irrelevant. Who cares about it? I don't care about it. Who cares? No one cares about it. So why should I bring it up? But if you're going to start bringing things up, that's an issue. That's an issue. If you find out on your own, you have to know how to properly approach the situation, and don't think you're Superman and you're just going to bluntly say, oh, I found out or I heard, like most men that are dumb and they don't know how to speak and they don't have a filter and they think it's going to be smart of them to confront without for 1 second thinking she has emotions and she's going through certain things. Who are you to open your mouth like a garbage can? And before you know it, you might have just ruined it for yourself, because she could have been was probably the best wife in the world. So you have to always consult with somebody. You have to. It's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. Rabbi said. Any other questions? How about from the woman? No questions?
Oh, serious.
No?
Rabbi,
I'm only getting questions from the men. Okay, go.
I have a question, but let's say you get married and then you find out about their past because like everyone in the Jewish community, you know how they talk.
No. Stop. Don't say that. It's not in the Jewish community. It's in the community that likes to talk. It's not the community that doesn't like to talk. Don't say that, please. Okay, go ahead now.
So I was gonna say, so you know how people talk, and I was just gonna say, what if the husband finds out just by like one of his friends that knew?
I answered that question. It doesn't make a difference how you found out. It depends how you accept it, how you take it. What are your what are your standards on such a case? And you're already married, you have to right away discuss it with someone that's more professional than you, because right now you're making a irrational decision, right? You'll just do something without even thinking, and before you know, you might have ruined it for yourself. People will forever talk. Forever. Forever. You have to know how to confront the situation. Answered? What's your question?
Though this is a dating series, I have a question on Shana Rishon.
But
I was told by a few people that preferably, or should be, or that you, when you get married, you and your wife should be Shana Rishon by yourselves for the whole year. Are there any exceptions to this rule in terms of inviting?
Okay. Well, one second. First of all, this is not the right question for the right thing, but I'll answer you. There is such a thing in the Torah that a man that just got married doesn't go to war. That's how we know Shana Rishona from. We know it because the pasuk says a man that just got married, if he's within his first year of his marriage, should go back home to his wife. That's what it says. Why? Because you're in your first year of marriage, you have to be very much physically and emotionally connected to the other person. More emotionally than physically. People don't know this, they think it's the exact opposite. So the rabbis came with a certain situation. Rav Chaim Kanievsky says now it's 5 years. He doesn't say it's 1 year, but we're going to put that aside for now. That a man has to spend an excessive amount of time with his spouse. Now, that doesn't mean now you're glued to each other. This is what the problem is. We fall under this misconception that now it's Shana Rishona, we also have to do things that we wouldn't do together. If it's, I don't know, whatever it is, every family is different. Shana Rishona means that you will give her more time mentally at night. Mentally. That means you talk more, you discuss more. You get to know each other more. You understand? Should you excommunicate yourself from your family? Listen, to each his own. Listen, I'm not going to answer that question. Did I do that? Absolutely not. Do I think it's a good idea? For some, yes. For some, no. I'm not here. We're not an Ashkenaz culture. I think we're forgetting something. We're forgetting that we're Sfaradim and we're Bukharian. That's even more. And I heard. I'm going to finish with this. Does anyone know Eli Stefanski? You know that guy, the Daf Yomi guy?
Of course.
Okay, well, calm down. You're getting too excited. Okay. He's doing Masechet Nazir, tractate about Nazirs. Nazirs are people that devote themselves in a more spiritual level. They're as holy as the Kohen Gadol, as a Kohen. Just to let you know, and anyone can reach that. Also, women can also be Nazirs. We do not practice this nowadays, but there are some that do. It's called Nazir Shimshon. So he brought to his lecture someone called Rav Turjuman. Relax, I knew Rav Turjuman before he brought him, and I have his books in my house.
Really?
Yes, if you come to my house, I'll show it to you. That he also republished books that were out of print for 500 years. I have those books in my house. Extremely difficult to learn.
Not very old.
Who, Rav Turjuman? He's not old, but he's not young too. He's in the 40s, I think. He's in his mid-age. And I also almost one time met him. I was in Israel. I went to meet him. Okay, doesn't make a difference. I asked him this question, and when I heard this, he said it's spot on. Matok midvash. After speaking, this is when he brought him to the shiur itself, not to the... He looks at him. He said, "What sect are you with?" So, do you follow this rabbi? That, what? Not follow which rabbi? What sect are you? More Hasidic? Are you Breslev? Are you Lubavitch? Are you a Litvak? So Rav Turjuman looks at him, and it was so beautiful how he said it. He said, "I'm Sephardi." He said, "I'm not in a box." I don't think you understood what I just told you. Ashkenazim they love to live in a box. If you leave their box, you're already out of that community. Sfaradim never had such a concept. The guy's a Jew. He's Mechalel Shabbat. He's not Mechalel Shabbat. He's still a Yid. How could I not have him? So when he answered this question, I got such goosebumps. It was on this Sunday. I was lying down. And my wife was also there. She heard it. And she was like, beautiful words. Rabbi Sai, we don't live in a box. We accept everybody. I'm proud to say I'm a Sephardi Jew. I'm proud to say I'm Bukharian because it's hard to be Sephardi. It's even harder to be a Bukharian Jew. I'm proud of it. You want to know why? Because I don't live in a box. I accept and love every single human being. And when people ask me how you do that, I say because I wasn't raised to fit in a box. I was raised to break the box. And that's what we're forgetting. We think a marriage is a box. Rabbi say it's not a box. It's not a box. Get it out of your brain. You have to create your own atmosphere. We're humans for a reason. We're not animals. Animals, when you take them out of their habitat, they're prone to die. We're humans because we can adapt to the habitats around us. And that's what we shouldn't forget. We shouldn't forget this thing, that we are not in a box. If your Shana Rishon is a bit different than others. You know what someone told me? My Rebbe told me this. I'm always saying I'm going to finish. I'm sorry. If anyone that needs to leave can leave. My Rebbe told me, he said, by us, the Ashkenazim, the man lives next to who? Does anyone know? Next to the wife's family. By the Ashkenazim. And I looked at him and I'm like, Anthony Paijod now, we, the exact opposite. We live closer to the father's side, not to the, and he was giving me whole pshat, Yaakov Avinu, blah, 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 blah. I said, Yaakov Avinu lived with Lavan because he had no choice. Are you telling me that all Ashkenaz father-in-laws are Lavan? And he started laughing. He made that face. And I said, I'm sorry, but the minhag, you can look at the Ben Ish Chai, you can look at the Kaf HaChaim, you can look at all the Sephardi rabbis. The minhag was to live closer to the father's side. I know we live in a different society. I'm not telling you that this should be pursued or any. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you that when people live in a box, they're not open-minded. You have to understand this. Someone told me, another question, someone told me, he's not here, but he's going to listen to this. Hashem Yishmor, when I heard this, I wanted to go in the phone and, I don't know. Newlywed married. The girl said, I'm not ever going to your side of the family. Ya habibi. Mat mitumtemet bamoach. Mat chola. Are you crazy? First of all, who talks like that? Who talks like that? You have a problem with a certain family member? Tiyeh chachama. Be smart. Play the game. Put the smile on. You never know. This is going to be your family for the rest of your life. You like it. You don't like it. Too bad. Too bad. Tiyeh chachama. Go to the family's house. Interact. Maybe get a communication. What's with this hate? Right away, hate. What hate? You don't know the family. Okay, they gave you a hard time before you got married. So what? It happened. Wouldn't you give a hard time to the future people that are going to marry your kids? No. I think you'll give them a bit of a hard time finding information about them, making sure that your kids don't fall in the wrong hands. And for you, it's a problem, right? Well, why are we holding hate in our heart? You're getting married to that side of the family. You have to understand there are certain traditions by us. If it's Shabbat here, Shabbat there. You ask me, right? You ask me to excommunicate yourself and go all 1 year, not invite anyone, don't go to anyone's house and all this stuff. Listen, you want to live like that? Do whatever you want. Enjoy yourself. But if you want to have a sense of family, a sense of surrounding yourself with goodness, I always suggest to associate your life with your family. Now, with that, I have one disclaimer. What's my one disclaimer? Your parents don't need to know every single thing that happens in your personal life. I want you to understand this. I know there are going to be parents that will be listening, but I'm going to tell you this straightforward. Majority of divorces are their own parents. You do not need to know every detail in the house. Whatever happens in the couple's house stays with the couple. They fought, they killed each other, they're beating each other, whatever the case is, they're getting mentally abused. It happens and it stays in the house. No one has to know this information. You have an issue, you go get help. But once you say it one time to your mother, or once you say it one time to whoever you say it, that person will never in their life look at your spouse properly. Ever! Anytime that person's gonna come, it'll be 50 years later. Your mother-in-law, your father-in-law could be 120 years. They'll be in the bed, dying for the last breath. Even though they'll see you, they'll smile at you, and in their heart they'll hate you. Those issues, those arguments, those situations you have, you keep it to yourself. And that's how you work on yourselves to have a better life. When you decide to express yourself, right? You're a bubbly kind of person, and you express yourself to the world. Express yourself to the toilet. Go to the toilet, speak to the water, then flush. That's the way you have to take your emotions and let it go. Let it go. Because when you go with that, and you go to your future in-laws house, and you go with that hate, I want to show that I don't care about anything. What are you doing? What the heck are you doing, lady or guy? What are you doing? Why do they have to know this? It's none of their business. You have issues in your head, go get help. But don't now show how much you're so upset. Don't do that. Be smart before making this decision who you're going to marry. Because this person should be there for the rest of your life. Does the girls have any questions? Anything? Something? No? Oh.
This is a little bit about the previous topic you were saying. I'm just curious. You said you can't ask, you can't bring me up. So what if about the past?
Yeah.
So if you can't ask, you can't bring it up. How do you expect to find out?
Why do you need to find out?
Because you said for a Kohen is important.
True. The only issue is by a Kohen, and the Kohen doesn't ask, shouldn't really ask her. If you go through a Shadchan, you have to find out from a Shadchan. You have to. It's not, usually when people get set up with Kohanim, at least even in the not from world, especially by the Sfaradim, they somewhat know. Someone tells them. But what was the point of me telling you this? When a person specifically says it, like, oh yeah, I have a past, and you know that they're not over it yet because they're bringing it up. Oh no, she is over it. She's so open about it. No. That's new society garbage. That's what new society teaches everyone. It's not true. When you can bring up the topic and put it on the table very freely, that's a very big issue. That's a huge issue. That means a person's still thinking about it. And you know this with people that are on drugs. A person that's fully done with drugs doesn't mention it, doesn't think about it, he's done with it. But when a person is going through this detox phase, but he still talks about it, you know he's still craving it. There's an issue there. He's not really over it. He still wants it. Take this from a guy or girl that had going on a long relationship and they broke up. Even the girl or the guy is going out and they broke up 5 years ago and she's going out with different guys, but she still talks about it, there's a problem there. It's a cycle, and I studied it because I went to school for it and I spoke to my Rebbeim about it. It's not just I'm making hamtzaot. I'm not here teaching you things that wasn't ever invented. These are things that are mamash true to its core. If you're not a Kohen, if you're a Kohenet, it makes a difference on you for another thing, but you're not. I don't think you're a Kohenet. It's just totally different. For Kohenet, the punishment is more major because you're kadosh. You come from a holy. You're a holy human being. That's what it is. But other than that, don't try to find out. It's just gonna hurt you. I'm telling you, it's just gonna hurt you. And if you do find out, get the proper help and figure out if that's something that you want or not. But understand one thing, people do change. Change is there. Rabbi said, change happens. Especially in this generation. In the past generations, they didn't have this issue because they had two sects. They had the people that were all crazy, and the crazies married crazy, and then the other ones that were traditional and holy, that the holies married the holies. Nowadays, everything's mebulbal. We're a big children bowl. Everyone is within each other, right? Which also has its own beauty. And we have to understand that, unfortunately, if people do certain mistakes, and I know people that did mistakes, and it wasn't their fault. They were convinced and they were manipulated, and at the end they did certain things and they regret it for the rest of their life, and they do regret it. And you're going to judge the person for that. How can we do that? You know how many girls get manipulated by men? It's disgusting. And I'm telling you, if you have daughters, ya habibi, you don't know what's coming your way. And I have students that say to me, Rabbi, bless me, I should only have boys. Bless me. I said, why? I want you to have daughters. I want you to not feel chas shalom. I want you just to think for 1 second, God forbid, that she shouldn't do it. All Jewish girls should be tzedkaniyot and tahor. But God forbid in your brain to think, where's my daughter right now? So you should feel how another father once felt, and you didn't care. It hurts, right? Some of you are shaking now. I love it. It's delicious to me. I love it. You want to know why? Haulam galgal. What goes up must come down, habibi. How do we know that? Gravity. How do we know that? I'll tell you how we know that. When Avraham Avinu passed away, what did Yaakov Avinu prepare?
Lentils.
Why lentils?
Round.
Because it's round, give chizuk to his own father. Don't worry, haulam galgal. What must be created must be one day destroyed. You have to understand, not gravity. Hashem. Gravity. It's a chacham balari. He went to college. Chacham balari. You understand? So everybody say, any other questions? Yes, please.
Women have the same regulations, like if she's about Kohen?
No. No. Unless you're marrying a Kohen. If you're marrying a Kohen, then yes.
What was her question?
Her question was, there's a girl that's a Kohenet. Her father's a Kohen. Does she have to be as machmir as her brother has to? And the answer is no. Unless she's marrying a Kohen. That's it?
Are there halachot?
Yes, there are halachot. And if you want, I will send you a link. There are major halachot on this. There's a whole track. So many masechtot. I'll give you a small story. Like Yehuda, when he found out Tamar was pregnant, what did he say? What was her punishment? Srefa. Take her out. Let's burn her. Whoa! Why are we burning women here? What's going on over here? Well, why are we burning women? We shouldn't burn them. What did they do wrong? What happened? Who was her father? Who was her grandfather? She came from the bloodline of Shem, straight Shem. Shem was called Kohen at that time. He was considered the Kohen. When he found out his daughter-in-law was with another man, not knowing that it was him, so everyone reads the story of Yehuda and Tamar, they think Yehuda was some pervert. He was, unfortunately, I'm going to say it in the camera, he was some horny guy, and he was looking for some nice, beautiful woman, and said, yo, what's up, let's go do it. That wasn't Yehuda. Take that out of, we're talking about the bloodline of David HaMelech from both sides. People think these stories of the Avot, they were perverts. They were not perverts. Any guy that says, I want to have more than one wife, you know who convinced Avraham Avinu to get married to a second wife? His wife. You know who who was forced to marry two sisters? Yaakov Avinu. You know who forced him to marry the other two? His wives. You don't hear stories of Tanaim and Morim willingly marrying more women. This is something that it's an Islamic Islamic thing that they're putting in society, which I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not saying it. I'm saying when a man comes to that understanding, oh, yeah, I want to have more than one wife, yeah, blah, blah, all this garbage that they're saying, relax yourself. Master one wife. Like this is what I always tell people. Marry one wife that should act like 10 wives, then marry 10 wives that don't even act like one wife. If you can do that, you're on a good horse. If you can't do that, you're done. So don't look to marry more women. Instead, marry that one woman, treat her properly, and she'll treat you like you have 10 women. And I'm not joking with you. This is a fact. Any other questions? No? Done? Go ask. You better ask now because...
How should a couple establish emotional intimacy?
Okay, wait, 1 second. This is a different topic. 1 second. I know what you're gonna say. Okay, one second. I understand what you're getting. Any other questions? Dating? No. Okay, close the camera. Have a good day, everyone.